Hey, fellow humans, welcome to Unraveling the Shoulds. You know all of those stories in our minds that are built upon who we thought we should be? Well, we're going to unravel those. We're going to journey into the quiet magic of everyday life. Those moments where each small thought holds a thread that can unravel the story of who we thought we were. As those threads fall away, what emerges is our mountaintop self. The true soul of us that is vast and free and whole. Through myth, philosophy, and lived experience, we'll discuss and walk this path together, unraveling into the truth, remembering who we've always been. How about we finally stop shoulding all over ourselves?
Happy Valentine's! Just kidding.
Oh, I didn't get the memo. Damn it. Hi, Madison.
Hi, Christine.
Oh, February.
What a month.
Yes, the precursor to this conversation was the the state of the planet, the planets, the universe. Just a little light conversation to start our morning.
Exactly. Yeah. How do you feel about Valentine's Day?
Over the years, I have adjusted my frequency around, no shade, consumer-driven things. And there's something very powerful about stating, I give myself permission to choose my relationship to this offering. That means that I don't have to demonize it. That means I don't have to glorify it. That means for me, through the lens of empowerment, that I get to choose my relationship to it. And when we talk about shoulds and we talk about these commercial invitations to prove your faith, your love, your even with
Devotion.
sports and your devotion, your camaraderie, and the modern world many times asks us to prove that through a transaction. And then there's the other side of the spectrum where everybody's like, well, I practice love every day, so I'm not going to do that today either. Okay, but we are talking specifically about not only love, which we'll get into, but this one day that I think globally, so many people essentially go like, okay, prove it.
Yeah.
And so the should really, again, like I just really want to reiterate, not throwing any kind of judgment or shade on the day, and then not also glorifying the day. Unraveling the shoulds is really us trying to, or attempting, or inviting ourselves into the middle way that says it's not about the day. It's about the feeling or the quality inside of us that motivates an action based on a should. And that's something very, very deep and very, very ingrained in our beingness, that when we can get to that, give a book, give a flower, give a diamond. It's what is motivating my action. And the answer to that, only you know. Only you are attached to your nervous system. Only you are the only one that knows what's motivating the action. And without conversations like this, a lot of times you don't know that you don't know. You're just going like, oh, okay, well, here's the thing, because there's the thing on the news, and here's the money, and here's the flowers, and here's the candy, and I love you. The single person or the person that travels through that day that either receives a bunch, I should receive something, or receives nothing, I should have received something. Those are the things that we can kind of go into, rather than justifying, yes, you should or shouldn't have. That's not what this is about. This is about going, oh, those are two polarities that in the middle lives the neutrality and the isness. And through that, we can ask ourselves, why do I prefer or resist? The fundamental practice of yoga and Vedanta and Buddhism is finding the third way beyond preference. It understands that our misery is rooted in aversion, I don't want, attraction, I do want, equal. So let's unravel some.
Let's get started. I mean, yeah, I think it's easier to launch from a personal place,
Love it.
because otherwise we're kind of just working with ideas that feel a little bit like generalized or not so relatable. And what would you describe a should for yourself around maybe in years past, or like what's something that stands out to you as a year or a season of life where you had a lot of expectations or shoulds around the day of love? Because I definitely have
Yeah, the day of
some in
love,
mind.
or if we went even a layer deeper, it's love, you know.
Or love.
So for myself, I have always fashioned myself a mermaid more so than a map maker. And there are two types of people in a relationship. The map maker, he built the boat or she built the boat. She's got the compass, knows how to get there, knows how that boat works. We're going to be safe. It's going to be very practical. It's going to be very safe. And the mermaid is next to the boat. And she's like, it's the water's fine. And I love it in here. We go into the deep and we talk about our emotions. It's really exciting. Sometimes it's not, it's just much more chaotic in the best way. And so
And
through the
a lot
lens
of
of,
unknowns as well.
yes, a lot of unknowns. So we're traveling through the known. Yeah, we need that because it develops trust. That's the healed masculine. Not saying all map makers are masculine, it's just that's the healed masculine. We talk about a bit of the unknown, a bit of the chaotic, and that energy helps us to develop trust. And trust is the healed feminine energy beyond gender. So when I say I fashion myself more of the mermaid and some may fashion themselves more of the merman, that means that I'm drawn towards romance, love, ritual, archetypes, uh,
Whimsy.
yeah, all the things. And then I have a I have a Pisces moon, and so it's just very it's very dreamy. And
Yes.
I would say for me in the past, a big danger was the shoulds around that, was the expectation that my map maker was going to show up and be like, today's the day I dive into the water with you. And it doesn't mean he never dives into the water, but he can't stay there because the boat would go off track. And I can't jump into the boat because we all know a mermaid can't live on dry land. She can hang out there for a little while, but she got to get back in the water. So we find that middle way. And so, long way of answering, I think when I was very much being driven by that romance and I was in love with love. And a lot of times, what happens when you're in love with love is things don't land, stay, ground, safe. It's like, okay, well, that's not really interesting anymore. Ooh, this person is giving me candy and all kinds of, they really think I'm amazing. And I can say that now from this place of, I didn't know that I didn't know. I just, it's like, even if you're listening to this right now, asking yourself, like, what am I drawn to? Now, I can say from the perspective of where I am now at 52 years old, that wasn't very safe. It was pretty irrational and dramatic. And I love her. There's no shade on any version of me that was just like, ooh, you really want to be around me. Um, but two mermaids, they can dive real deep and it can get real muddy, right? And two map makers, it's just like, I got the boat. No, I got the boat. No, I got the boat. So we see that those two things are really wonderful when you can find your way in that.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, I think some of the shoulds around me being that in that full Pisces mermaidness was, I should definitely be mirrored in that today. Because usually what happens is you're not attracted to the same, you're attracted to the different. Why? So eventually I can get myself to realize that love is not transactional. Love is safe. Love is trusting. and all the shoulds that say you should have done all of this. And I never really fell in love with a merman because a merman would bring me all those things. I always fell in love with a map maker. And he's like, oh, Valentine's Day, whatever. I'm like,
Did you by any chance see the Disney movie Moana?
oh, yes, of course.
Okay, great. Because as you were talking about the map maker and the mermaid, it kind of had me thinking about her as this iconic figure. When I first watched this movie, I was watching both of my nephews. I put them to bed and I was like, good night, boys. And then I turned on Moana because I hadn't seen it yet. And I bawled my eyes out the entire time, like from the moment that it started until the very end. And I loved this story because I thought it was such a complete, like a complete story of a complete person. And she, to kind of go off of your metaphor, like she really does embody, I think, both of these qualities, like the person who's navigating the ocean and knows the way, and she's like learning the stars, learning the horizon, learning how to do it all. And then she has this magical connection with the sea, and like it's very all encompassing, I think, of like those two versions of yourself being within you. And so I think on one level, yes, there's obviously this temptation to romanticize and talk about it like as me as one half, and then I've got my partner as the other half, and then we make a complete heart, and like that's the beauty of love, and like that is a beautiful part of love. But I also think that whether someone is in a really loving relationship or a not so loving relationship, or are lovingly single or resentfully single, like there's 4 quadrants of experience.
Right.
And obviously there's nuance within all of that. But I think where we can kind of, the universal, let's say, overarching story is like, what is that experience within myself? Like, what is the masculine map maker, navigator, and the dreamy, wishful, romantic lover of the ocean? And obviously, of course, got my whale tattoo, lover of the sea since I was born. So I think there's like those layers of the conversation are also worth exploring, I think, outside of just partner love. If we feel like there's a missing part of us, like, just to go back to Moana, she has this part of herself that's missing. And it's like, I need to go out into the sea to be the explorer, and to also fall in love with the earth and with
Herself.
herself. And
No, the moment where she's like meeting the heart of Tafiti in like the ocean, and she's walking to, I mean, are you kidding me? And absolutely 1000%, I'm lit up in goosebumps because
Me
this entire
too.
conversation is leading us to the real love of our lives. That you are the map maker and the mermaid. That you are who you have always been looking for. And your relationship is a canvas where you're either projecting those qualities of ownership, or the qualities of, you should do this for me because it's not already within myself. That's essentially, in hindsight, from this really beautiful perspective of being 52 and looking back and going, oh, you chose really, really, really staunch map makers to learn that, to strengthen your own map maker. And they chose me to strengthen their own mermaid. Not for us, for me and for you. I tell couples all the time that I work with, I do not, with all beautifully loving due respect, have a vested interest in keeping you together. I have a vested interest in you alchemizing your highest frequency and you alchemizing your highest frequency and then bringing that you into all of your relationships. That's sexy. That's attractive. That's fun. That's lifelong. But staying together, I mean, I have no idea. That's not up to me, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for, yes, I mean, that's the jewel. That's the heart of Tafiti. Oh my God, I have to watch the
That
movie
is
again.
part of Tafiti. Let's do a whole episode just on Moana. We were obviously going to get there eventually because you and I both know it's not like, the whole glamorization of love and the way that the world portrays it back to us a lot of times is like, I'm looking for my soulmate. I'm looking for my other half. And that is a long, never-ending search that will probably leave a lot of people feeling empty at the end of their existence in this life, looking for that external fulfillment.
Well, I was going to say, if anybody's listening to this call right now thinking or longing for that external fulfillment, what are your own shoulds around that?
So on my way home as I was, walking back from the market today, just before this call, I was going up the stairs and I was thinking, gosh, my soul is just so open, so hungry, I just want someone to hold me. And I was like, and then what? And then what? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, I think, wanting that. In fact, I think it takes a lot of bravery to admit that you are feeling open to love. And I think that when we really talk about like what love is, it just requires so much bravery. I have a couple of friends that recently got engaged and another couple of friends that recently just got married. When I feel the excitement around marriage and not just marriage, but like committed partnerships, committed love, I was just, feeling so proud of them that each of these people were open enough to let someone in. Mm-hmm. And I also know how it feels to be on the afraid side of love, where it's like, oh, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to make a mistake or open my heart to the wrong person or something. So in some ways, it feels easier to just harbor that love all for yourself and be like, oh, I'm anti-relationship. I'm
Valentine's Day.
I'm anti-women. I'm anti-Valentine's Day. I hate marriage, hate partners, whatever. And like, I think a very valuable, important place to start is acknowledging where it is that we are currently today.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Keep or delete.
Okay.
When you're walking up the stairs and you're having that feeling, and both of these things I'm about to say are completely neutral, is the longing based in a readiness to share the inner love that you've already cultivated for Madison with another? And or is the longing to fill a piece or a need for affection and safety? And are those two things the same? I guess I'm just asking, like, what was motivating that truth, which was the feeling of, well, I don't want to fill in the blanks for you. I mean, that you just told us what that feeling was. And do you think the motivating energy behind that was a longing for something outside of yourself or a sharing of something that's grown within you?
That's a good question. Thanks for asking. I love to desire.
Mm,
I love to long. And this is a whole other journey, but I think for for a fair portion of life, I was so afraid of longing and so afraid of wanting and so afraid of
mm,
desiring that
ooh,
for me there's like a lot of just pure, for my own sake, pure enjoyment and pure pleasure in desiring, in longing, in hoping. There's a lot of romanticism in it. There's a lot of dreaminess to it. There's a lot of potential in it. There's a lot of energy behind that. It can either fuel me to love myself more and be like, yeah, that is what I want. I want to have that cultivated within myself first so that I share that with another person. Or it can fuel it in the other direction, which is like highlighting what I don't have or what doesn't exist, or like, oh, I want something that I'll never have, or I want something that I don't have currently. There's a gap that exists, and it feels really hard
mhm.
to get over that gap. Whereas if it's growing, like as you said, like growing out of myself towards another person, then it's really good. Like the desire is the force that like draws to another person and connects.
Well, I mean,
Um,
yeah, for saying essentially in the beginning, like, I shouldn't want this, I shouldn't desire this, and then alchemizing that into like, oh, no, I do want that. And I do desire that. I mean, that in and of itself, just again, there's the chills all over my body because that's very powerful alchemy. That's very divine feminine. That's very wild to break that and go, I shouldn't means that if I do, I have to ask some benevolent masculine force for permission. And now I'm like, actually, I decide I do want that. I do desire that. And the metaphor of it growing from inside you and reaching out. I mean, I can picture that in my mind right now. That basically says this reaching out is just an extension of the full trunk or the full vine inside, and it's just extra. So that means there's a release of an expectation. You know what I mean? Even if these just fold back within themselves, it's this full expression.
there's there's a fine line with desire, of course. There's a fine line with
Well, I just talked about the mermaid that was just like, oh my God. I mean, I was fueled. I didn't
yeah,
have that middle route. I was just like, find somebody. It was completely empty inside. So all it was an external, almost like not even a desire anymore. It's just like an obsession. And so that's how I felt the most me was when someone was loving me or watering that inside of me. And then when there was no one there, oh, like a Friday night alone, I was like, I'm going to go to the coffee house. I knew what I was doing. I
oh my
knew
gosh.
that I was going with this very fundamentally like heady book, right? No shade. If any, I mean, this is what we're doing. We're 20, we're 25, and I'm going to go and I'm going to have my laptop and have my glasses. I'm going to do the thing. I probably didn't read a sentence.
Oh my gosh, Christine. Okay, this is hilarious.
Was the heart of the Buddhist teaching interesting to me in my 20s? Yeah. Did I also have a story about how that would be interesting as perceived by a cute guy or a cute girl at the coffee house? Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can so you can see the performative nature of that age, right? 15 to 21 years old, we are just discovering like, where is my power and how can I control a room?
Yeah. I went to a a really cool cocktail bar on Valentine's Day some years ago, in Denver. This must have been like 2021. So late 20s.
Alone.
Alone. And I was like, do you have a spot at the bar? And they were like, we have one spot left. It's for all the single people. And I was like, that's me. So I went and sat up there.
Yes.
And ended up being a great day. I had a great conversation with a really sweet person. And there was definitely a performative layer to this on some level. But then the other level was this like sweet person that you're talking about of like, I'm not going to be a sad sack in my house. I'm going to go out and be open and talk to people and like just enjoy the day for myself and do things that I like to do, because I do want to do that. I do want to go enjoy a really good cocktail at a really nice environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the time, my intention was that it was like an act of love for myself, of taking myself out, being seen. It felt like wanting to show myself that I am confident and wanting to like feel enough to myself. And it felt, like fueled by action, which doesn't need to be action oriented necessarily. Like you can just cultivate that in yourself and be like, no, I'm good to stay at home and like I don't need to go out. But also, Leo sun. So I was like, I got to go out.
Well, and that's the individual, right? That's the individual that says, stay home and cultivate, stay home and brood, go out and do it. All of those things are fine. It's the deeper inquiry that understands in that moment, it was important for you to behave in a way that felt empowered, to behave in a way that felt self-loving. And through the lens of cognitive behavioral therapy, that literally shifts vibratory patterns inside of your body. We know that now. And so going to the coffee house, behaving in a way that I thought was cool, like I would want to meet me,
Me too. And I would want to meet you.
Yeah. And whether it's performative or not, it's authentic. Because it's me going, well, there is a little bit of insecurity around this. And is insecurity something that's in alignment with how I want to feel? No. So is confidence and self-assuredness and, deep and smart and introspective part of who I want to be? It certainly was a part of who I was becoming. And now through that lens, I love her. I love Madison sitting on that bar stool, and through this lens now, it's just, there's a lot less effort, not because there should be less effort. That's the beautiful thing about unraveling the shoulds, is that you just behave with the mindfulness and the understanding and the ownership of what's motivating the action. What quality is motivating my action right now? Is it a quality of love? Is it a quality of despair? No judgment either way. Is this in alignment with how I want to feel? Is there something that I could do to behave in alignment with what it would look like? Now we start to move in the frequency of love. The other part, or the other option, is that we would get stuck in a loop of defending the way we don't want to feel. You would say, I feel insecure. It's not how I want to feel, but I'm going to tell you a big, long story about why I feel that way, and probably I'm going to stay feeling that way. And I'm like, oh, well, that is an option. And it will have its own ripple effect or frequency, just like love. Just like it's almost like just saying that, like, we'll say love and fear are both frequencies. I don't necessarily argue that love is better. Love has a vibrational frequency and ripple, and fear has a vibrational frequency and ripple. And our free will has the ability to choose. Again, when we just look at the isness, it starts to transcend the shoulds.
It's not a very romantic thing to say, Christine. I don't want to hear that love and fear are just frequencies of no better, no worse value.
How dare you?
I think that is a very challenging point for a lot of people to come to. Certainly, certainly for me.
Well, everything is going to be based on our perception. If you got told, I love you, and that's why I hit you, your perception of love would be much different than if you were held after you scraped your knee and told, it's okay and I love you. You know what I mean? Like, that's why we can't put shoulds on fear and love, because it's all individual and we are all one. That's what I believe. We're all one frequency of consciousness, navigating the vibrations that come through as our emotions and then create our reality through our perception. And so through that lens, as a romantic mermaid map maker, I would not have been able to accept that. I would have argued for love. I would have fought for love. I would have screamed for love. I would have thrown a brick through a window and called it love. So I I don't I don't judge that anymore. I just don't participate in that anymore because it doesn't feel like the vibration or the frequency that's aligned with me. That's why Sean forgets Valentine's Day. He doesn't forget Valentine's Day. The isness of that is that I choose to ride a frequency of love that's coming from inside of me, that beautiful vine that's coming and growing from inner to outer. That's not experientially contingent.
Do you have any closing thoughts on, I don't want to say closing thoughts on love, but
Well, if there's any fundamental truth I believe, it is truly that you are who you've always been looking for. It can sound trite, it can sound cliche, but when that hits as the truth inside of your cells, not because I said it, but you have an experience that emanates from inside of your sixth sense, it's a light bulb that will change your life. And I know it for myself because I've experienced the canvas of what I was projecting the lack of my self-love onto, calling it, my children are grown. Somebody wants something different than me. I'm closing a studio. Whatever those things were that I thought were needed to change or be in order for me to fully and completely feel that vibration of love and frequency, I was just mistaken. I was mistaken. And so now rather than a canvas, I see a boomerang that just says, I am who I've always been looking for. What do I need in this moment? How can I provide that for myself right now? How can I ask? Because asking without any attachment of the other person saying yes or no is very liberating and free. Just your courage to ask. I cannot do this alone. I don't want to do it alone. We need each other. And so you are who you've always been looking for. It's not a call for self-sufficiency. It says that everything that you need is inside the house, and everything that you're trying to project onto a world that's making it easy to be afraid of is also coming from inside the house. So when you obliterate all that and you come home over and over again, that's love from my perspective. And if you're listening to this,
really
we love
good.
you.
If you're listening to this, we love you. Would you like to close with a deep breath together?
I would love that.
Come home to ourselves, come home to this amazing container of a body that holds our whole experience and that holds all of the feelings and all of the longings, all of the wounds, all of the stability and strength and everything that we need. I think it would be really nice to come home.
Yes.
So,
I accept.
okay. All right. We'll take a deep breath in. And out.
The recalibration is almost instant.
It really is.
And knowing that my little coffee house girl and your little barstool girl were dancing our way through this life together as always. I mean, that just sinks right into all of the feels. And I adore you and I love you.
I adore you and love you too. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Happy every day. Happy love.
Happy love.
Thank you so much for joining us in the initial conversations that became the foundation for unraveling the shoulds. We invite you to continue this journey along with us each week as we dive deeper into our truest selves.